All right, everybody, let's get started. And I've already downloaded the file and I have my file open and ready. I'm going to start off with the first instruction. Enable editing. Select the table sheet, cells A6 to B10. 6 to B10. Okay, again, A6 to B10. Group selection. Copy. Good. And I can see all of these are created. Great. Done. Select B1 to B1. So what I'm trying to do is just define the names. I don't want this cell to be B6 anymore. I want it to be identified as candy cells. So I can use it in other sheets. It's more descriptive than just a cell name or cell number. So now that I've done that, let's go back and go to the commissions sheet. So first look at this. What it tells me is these are all some salespeople earned some commissions, or I need what their bonus rate is and their total earning. Their bonus rate, for depending on how much commission they've earned, is defined in this table. So for 15,000, it's 2.5%. For 12,000, it's 2.25, and also. So we're going to use a lookup function that's going to look up this value and then finds the corresponding value for it. So let's go to the commissions table. That's the first step we're going to do, is click on F5 and do HLOOKUP. So for formulas, we go insert function. The reason why we use HLOOKUP is because our table is horizontally organized. So we're trying to look up this value in this table. So we've already named it H rates. That's why I picked up from there. And the row index number is 2, which means I'm going to look up this value and then find the corresponding value that's in row number 2. So if this is row number 1 in this table, this is row number 2. So for 15,000, yes, it's 2.5%. It just doesn't look like 2.5% because it's not formatted that way. So let's go ahead and format it, and it's rounded it. So I'm going to add the decimals with 2 decimals. So format the result, percent style with 2 decimals. That's what I just did. Copy the formula to F16 to F14. So all I do is double click and it copies the formula. So it's looked up everything. For 12,000, it's 2.25% according to this table. So great. Now all I got to do is calculate the total earnings. The total earnings would be their commissions plus 2.5% of their commission. So that would be is equal to commissions plus brackets commissions times bonus rate, close parentheses, and that's the total earnings. So that's what it says. Build a formula to add E5 to F5 and copy the formula all the way down. So I can drag and drop, or I can double click. And now we have all the total earnings for all of those people. Now, what if I'm a branch manager and I want to know how each branch did? And I want to see how the totals are calculated for each branch. So if I wanted to know how much did all the agents in Cameron Park branch make, That's what I would do here. So for that, I would need a function called SUMIF. So you can start a function by starting typing SUMIF, and then it will tell you what parameters it's expecting. Or if you're not familiar, if you're rather comfortable with the UI, so just go to formulas, insert function, and look for SUMIF. And then the range would be D5 to D14. So I'm going to look up all these branches. So I'm going to go select all of these. But when I do, it says D5 to D14, and that's a relative reference. We need an absolute reference. Relative and absolutes are because if you drag this formula without the dollar signs, the next cell will have this value as D6 to D15, which is not correct. That would be from here to here. So we don't want this range to change no matter where we copy the formula. So to keep that fixed, we add dollar symbols. So we're not going to increment either the row or the column. But we fix it up there. And then the criteria is reference to C18. This is what I'm going to look up. And the sum range is what we're going to total. So in this range, I'm going to look for this value. And if it finds that value, add the corresponding values as soon as it finds that value. So the sum range also should be absolute. Otherwise, if you drag the formula, it's going to increment your sum range to which we don't want. That's it. That probably should be currency. Choose one. Copy the formula without formatting. So I'm going to double click and then I'll make sure I don't copy the formatting. So there we go. I shouldn't have dragged it to the total, but I'll explain that in just a minute. So why did it give a 0 for total? Is because it didn't find any branch named total in this range. That's why it couldn't add any numbers, but that's not what the formula should be. I should have only dragged these three. But anyway, I'm going to select these now and format them as currency. Total the earnings in cell 21. That's where I'm going to do the total. So there's two different ways to do it. You can either do sum and then do all three and then close the brackets. Simply go to formulas and do auto sum, and it'll figure out where the two ways to do it. So choose whatever you want. Create and format the current date. So G23 would be that. And it tells me it doesn't take any parameters. It's just two empty brackets. And that's what the time, the date and time now is. And I'm supposed to go and format it. That's what it's looking for, March 14th, 2012. That's for formatting. And that's it. Press Control Home. It's going to take you to the top cell, top column, top row. And that's all it's going to do. So now we've done a horizontal lookup at this on this cell only because the data is laid out horizontally. What if the data is laid out vertically in two columns instead of two rows? That's when I would use a VLOOKUP. So since we're done with this sheet, I'm going to go to Family Day. So this is similar to the previous one, but in here they're doing a fundraiser and each category has a certain amount of goal. And that's the amount this person, Bob, has raised. Now we need to figure out what the goal is for raffle tickets, and we want to see if Bob has met the goal or not. So for raffle tickets, let's see, it's $500. So how do we do that lookup value in here? So we go to the formulas, set function. So let's find what values it's going to need. It needs to look up, and the table array would be but again, we need the references to be absolute. Well, you know what? Just for argument's sake, I'm just going to demonstrate what happens if you go with the signs. So there you go. So I got it for raffle tickets. Now what happens when I scroll it all the way down? If you look at here, look at this formula. That is what our formula was supposed to be. We're supposed to look up from A6 to B10, which is this. But because I didn't put the dollar symbols, it started A7 through B11, A8 to B12. It's incrementing the table range too. So because we want to avoid that, we're just going to have to put the dollar symbols. And now I'm going to track this formula. Currency. Currency with no decimal places. So now as you can see, this range remains the same no matter which cell you check. A6 to B10 is constant in any cell that you check, and that's what we want. So now we know what the goal was for each of these categories for these people. Now, did Bob reach his goal? How do we know? That's called a conditional. If the amount he raised is more than or equal to his goal, he has reached his goal. So for that, what we use is a function called if. Goal, then yes, met the goal. No, that didn't meet the goal. That. Let's try to put it down. So that's it. Now we're going to insert a new sheet and put the sheet to the end. We're going to call it mean. And here we want to paste the range names. And they're here. Paste names, paste list, resize each column by double clicking when I see that particular arrow, and there we go. Paste it. Before I do anything, I'll just double check my sheets look like this. Commission sheet looks like this with the date, and family day sheet looks like this. That looks good. Tables or range names look like this. There you go. That looks good to me. Upload. I just saved my file. Make sure you save your file. Upload. Okay. Next one. I think I have to on it. Okay. There you go. That's how we do it.